Ma, finally got you on the Gym Rats podcast, bro. How's everything?
Oh, everything is good, man. Everything is good. No complaints this way.
Did a lot of training today. I already know you put in work.
Oh, absolutely. Was in the gym earlier with a couple of my young guys. Yesterday was out in the weather, man. You know, taking advantage of the sun. It was beautiful out yesterday. So, man, out in the driveway.
I was having technical difficulties, bro. I didn't mean to cut you off. I was having technical difficulties, man. Our power went out. So I wasn't sure we may have to reschedule this. So when the power came back on, I'm like, I got to get Ma on the podcast for Gym Rats because a lot of people always see you putting in a lot of work. And I know virtual is training huge right now, bro. I'm personally, in our era, we didn't have virtual training.
Right, absolutely.
How have you saw like virtual training evolve right now during this pandemic?
Well, especially during the pandemic and prior to any of this happening, there's a lot of resources that kids can tap into. So even if you don't have a personal trainer per se, man, you can look up everything under the sun, whether it's a trainer in California who has posted stuff to his IG account or his Snapchat, or I mean, even on TikTok, they're doing different challenges. But during this time when everything is kind of closed down and you can't get physically in front of someone, that live training helps to get information out there so kids can have some resources with stuff that they can do in their driveway, or whether they're going to the park, or man, if they're just dribbling in the living room, you know, they can get it and shot straight to them.
What's some of the people you work with? Because you worked with a lot of athletes, bro. And I've been seeing your grind evolve because before I really dive into that part, you helped me in so many ways that you probably don't know. Because you was my coach. For a lot of people who don't know, you was my coach when I was 14
Absolutely.
and playing for Speece Indy Heat. And to see you just train at a high level now, what's some of those players that you've been training with?
Some of the players I've been training with recently, I've been working with Ali, who's a freshman, just finished his freshman year up at Akron. I've worked with Luke Goody, who just committed to Illinois. Man, from your Caleb Swanigans to, you know, coaching Jaren Jackson, who's a pro at Memphis, and Brandon Johns, who's at Michigan. I mean, we had the Rayfield Davises of the world, the Justin Jordans of the world, you know, yourself, Dewan Marrero, Yogi Ferrell at one point in time. So since this journey started back in 2009, you know, I've come across, you know, a lot of guys.
No, that's super, Maul, because I'm going to really take it back. You was my coach. Jared was the head coach. You was the assistant coach. And
Co-coach,
just to see
co-coach.
Okay, the co-coach. Jared's going to laugh on this one. But Jared had us together for a very long time, bro. Mm-hmm. And it takes a team to really build up what Gym Rats has did, you know, within the whole organization.
Absolutely.
And you and I are in a group chat, you know, with Jared, Brian, Justin Jordan, and Rayfield. And it was like, you guys are huge pieces in my life. Because you guys set the foundation for me to like have the opportunity to podcast for Gym Rats and just to share our story, and mainly your story, because a lot of people see you, but they really don't know your background. So if you could dive in, Maul, about to tell those who is Maul for those who are wondering.
Okay, so kind of to sum it all up, because we don't want to draw it out, but I played at Indiana Tech, a D2 NAIA school, and that's where I met Jared Quarles, one of my closest friends.
Shout out to Jared.
Yeah, absolutely. Who's one of my mentors, or one of my OGs. But once I finished playing basketball, Jared was already coaching. He was coaching, you know, a host of teams from Blessed. He had a local team out of Muncie. And then Joe Jordan, a guy from in town, had a program called SAC, and that's really where I got my start at. So with the SAC team is where I first met Rayfield Davis in the 7th grade. We played in some tournaments all over the state. From there is when we played against you, AJ Hammonds up in the Maryville tournament. And that kind of gave us grounds for some kids we wanted to recruit moving forward. So once Jared kind of did the legwork on the recruiting end, and we formed this team together. And that next year in 2009 is when we first went to Gym Rats with Speece. And we had, yourself, we had AJ Hammonds, Yogi Ferrell, I forgot, Elijah.
Elijah Ray.
Elijah Ray. Yep. We had man played at Bowling Green. We
James
had
I remember James.
Yep.
So it makes sense for me when Diesel was playing with Sac, so you was part of that group. Because I used to watch Diesel play for Sac growing up.
Yeah. So Deshaun was playing before we actually started coaching. The seventh grade group we had Rayfield Davis, we had VJ Beecham, Quillen Upshaw, who was a local kid who ended up going to be an all-city point guard. And the younger group, the group that was right under us, had the twins, Brenton and Bryson Scott. They had James Blackman on that group. So that was kind of a place where we kind of all started before we went to the Speece family.
So JQ was your connect?
Absolutely.
Okay, so what have you learned, Maul, just from then and now? Like, what have you learned just about this business, just in grassroots? Because everybody want to be a trainer now. And everybody want to have those athletes, and everybody want to do what you're doing. Like, what have you learned just throughout this business?
The biggest piece I've learned, and the reason why I kind of got away from coaching and wanted to focus more on the skill development side, is basically just that one-on-one relationship that I have developed on the bench with all of those kids. So that was kind of my role as a coach, was when kids are having those issues off the floor or even in the game, we leave in the game and they're disgruntled about something that happened in the game, they were coming to me. I was the guy that they were coming to. So with me having that ability to connect with kids fast, and then
right.
once again, my mentor, my OG, Jared Quarles, was like, hey, man, you would be good at skill development, because we were already basically had the relationship development piece already going through the coaches. So
right.
One thing people don't really understand about skills training is a lot of the stuff doesn't change as far as skill development is concerned. You deal with different terminology as the levels grow, but a lot of it is based off relationship. If I can get a kid to believe in what I'm teaching, I could paint a brick wall and tell him to run straight through it, and he'd do it.
Right. Man, I think that's huge. Like, how have you saw social media just been a big influence with these workouts? Because a lot of people are getting signed off these workouts, just what they're seeing.
Oh, absolutely. So, I mean, some of the trainers that I follow, around, I've never met these guys, but with them posting stuff every day and just posting content and showing workouts that they're doing with different pro athletes, and then hearing some of the terminology, I think it's giving kids basically a database that they can tap into. There's apps that people can download now to where, Chris Johnson is one of the trainers who's out in LA that I follow. I watch a lot of his stuff. He has an app that you can download, and there's basically like monthly programs that kids can do. They may have, a 7-day workout plan for a kid. He's never even met this kid, and all you have to do is subscribe to an app. So, I mean, technology is making basketball more accessible, especially when everything's happening all over the world.
What's that moment for you, Maul? Like, damn, I really enjoy doing this. Like, when is that time when you just be like, damn, I'm really thankful to be in this position to work with this kid and be at this tournament? You remember that moment you had?
I think that, I don't think it was one moment. I think it's a multitude of moments. One of those moments that really stand out for me is we had a kid, rest in peace, Steve McIlvain, was a kid who kind of struggled academically. And we had seen, myself and Brian Rogers and also Jared Quarles, just had seen a lot of people kind of take a step back because they didn't think that because he didn't do well in the classroom that he wouldn't have made it. So he ended up going to play on at Dayton, and just seeing the impact that it had on his family. And then that moment where I was like, I know I'm doing the right thing, is God bless his soul, man, and rest in peace. That's still one that hurts. But when he passed, and me and Quarles went to the funeral and went to the family gatherings and just watched how that family thanked us time and time again, just for helping him, be in a different place than he was. Because a lot of people didn't think, he was ever going to make it out of that situation. So, those situations help. I'll give you another example. We were all texting the other day in the group chat, and Justin Jordan screenshotted a text that I had sent him 10 years ago. And this is when he was in the midst of transferring from St. Louis, and, some stuff had happened with him, and he was at one of the lowest points in his life. And I sent him this long text, and he saved that. And to send that to me to 10 years later, for him to hold on to that, it just shows the impact that we have on these guys.
And it goes deeper than like gym rats. I know a lot of people wondering, like, well, why is Marrero the host of Gym Rats podcast? But like, I've been with the organization since 14. You know what
Absolutely.
I mean? This conversation will be different from a coach who I probably just met, while recording.
Absolutely.
Because our history goes deeper. Like Todd shaped my, when I was playing, just on a national scale. Because I'm from Gary. We don't have the resources like in Fort Wayne. We don't have the resources like in Indianapolis. And Gym Rats just took me to a whole nother level. Maul, where do you see like Gym Rats now than you saw it back then? Have you saw it evolved?
Oh, absolutely. Just from an organization standpoint, it's grown. One thing I want to tell people is, in Gym Rats basketball, especially, I know you noticed that the committee that we have, the guys that we have together, we are all best friends. Like, outside, this doesn't have anything to do with hoop. Once we separate Gym Rats, like on a daily basis, we talk. Like, these are my closest friends. So I think once people see that and understand who we are, they understand why the business operates the way it does. We've grown. I mean, just like any business, once it's around every year, year after year after year, you have to start growing or the business will fail. So in order to thrive, man, year by year, we have to start changing. One thing that has grown is our social media presence. We're trying to get out there more and take advantage of all of these platforms. We're developing a YouTube channel now that, we're putting a lot of this content on. The virtual training that I've been doing is an evolution of Gym Rats basketball.
It's different, Maul. It's different because in this era, and you want to adapt and you want to keep up with the times, it really causes you to get out your comfort zone.
Absolutely.
Todd only did a handful of interviews. So the fact that he wanted to start it off, and Jared has never done a podcast, and he enjoys doing more behind the scenes, that says a lot. That's where we came to now in this era.
Absolutely.
Just to do business, whether you just do that only interview for the whole year, you like, damn, I really got to show my face now.
Absolutely. Man, I'll tell you a funny story. Remember the other day we were talking and you was like, man, we didn't even have all of this stuff. All we had was Twitter. So we played in a tournament in Louisville, and I had mentioned Todd's name on Twitter. Oh, man, he chewed me out for that. Chewed me out because he wanted to. He? Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. But now, he's taking full advantage of this social media wave. I mean, you have to adapt or you're going to stay stagnant in the process because everybody's up on social media.
We came in, Maul, what was it, 2011? 2011, first EYBL tournament where they only gave out sweatsuit and not even no kicks and a backpack. Now you get a month full of gear. Talk about that EYBL, what you've experienced, because you was with us that first rip. And to see where it is now is huge. Now you have the women wave. It's really huge.
Man, the EYBL was one of those things that the highlight film, none of that does it justice. Like, you have to absolutely be there to see it. It's the very first time I walked into Nike Peace Jam, I had goosebumps just to see, NBA stars.
You want to get out there and play.
Oh, absolutely. Man, the adrenaline is pumping. Man, I'll never forget this. My favorite rapper, probably one of yours, Jay-Z. I'm in LA at one of the
He pulled up?
Oh, he's in there. Like, sitting right on our sideline. Like, Jay-Z himself sitting right on the sideline.
With who?
He was by himself. He was by himself. Okay. But I mean, these people are just walking around and just coming to see this high level basketball be played. Man, it's nothing like it in the world.
I got starstruck. John Wall was one of my favorite players growing up. I mean, he still is, but he came to the LAX when we played at the hangar. We was playing against the family. This mid-game, I'm at the free throw line. I'm like, Jared, that's John Wall. He chewed me out. But the point is, I'm like, that's my favorite player. Like, where I'm from, we don't see our favorite players in person.
Right.
And now that I'm playing, professionally, I see those type of people on a day-to-day. But it's not the same when you're a youngin' and you playing at the EYBL and you see your favorite player there in the beater, just chilling. Like, you can touch them.
Absolutely. And they're not standoffish. They're engaged with the kids, and a lot of them run teams. So sometimes they're sitting on the sideline coaching the team that they're affiliated with.
Do you think Bron does a really good job advocating for the AAU scene?
LeBron?
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I know sometimes he gets a bad rap, just because of his antics on the sideline. But I don't think people understand, as a kid, when LeBron is your idol and you may be playing against his team and you make a good move and he's on the sideline going crazy. And then after the game, LeBron comes up to him and says to a kid, man, I plan to play against you in a couple years, because he sees your talent level. Like, I guess the outside world doesn't know how that could set a blaze in a young man when he sees his idol come up to him after a game and say, I hope to see you in my league one day. Like, that is so important in everything we do, when a man that is viewed like God on the basketball world, he can come down and shake the hand of an ordinary kid.
What do you think about the people who compare him into the Michael Jordan to The Last Dance? Because I know that's a hot topic for you, Ma, and you can rumble all day, because you rumble with Ray Phil all day.
Absolutely. I just took a vow. I took a vow the other day that I would not argue the GOAT anymore because of Rayfield Davis. Shout out to Rayfield. That's for you. I'm talking about 8 o'clock in the morning, Rayfield is sending stats. But my thing is this, man. The argument's sake is good for basketball heads, especially when we don't have basketball right now. But respectably, all of these dudes are a GOAT. I mean, right now, in this point in time, there's nobody like LeBron James. Jordan ruled his era. LeBron's ruling his era. I mean, I wasn't there to see Kareem and Oscar Robertson and those guys, but to look back at some of the stat lines they had, I mean, it's remarkable, man. So I don't think it's fair to compare eras, because we have no way of matching these guys up. So it's good for argument.
You think The Last Dance good for the culture?
Man, I love it. I remember some of these games being just like everybody else that we encounter, being a kid from the hood, not being able to afford certain things. Man, I used to take a red tank top and draw Bulls and 23 on the front of it. I'd be sitting in front of the TV with my basketball. You know what I mean? Watching Jordan play. It was like a holiday. So to go back and see this documentary and know that at a certain point in my childhood, I was sitting in front of the TV watching that game. Yeah, I mean, man, it means the world to me. But it also
brings goosebumps. Yeah, it brings you goosebumps, Ma. I'm sitting here watching, like, how Jordan got down. Like, he was dry snitching too. Like, a lot of cats don't know, Jordan just calling people out, and they got families right now.
Yeah,
but to see how he got down and see how he operated, it just gives you so much perspective, and also how to market yourself, because a lot of brothers don't know how to play golf. He was playing golf with his future opponent the next day, you know, and doing his thing off the court. And I don't think a lot of people picked up how his marketing was just, it inspired me to want to play golf. That's what I picked up. And to see Phil Jackson used to be a hippie back in the day in the 60s and 70s, can fast forward and understand where Dennis Rodman was at mentally.
Yes. Yeah. Man, it's just good to get the backstory on how these teams were built and some of the difficulties that they dealt with. Because we look at them like, okay, these teams were perfect. You know what I'm saying? The Bulls have one of the greatest teams ever, and we see the finished product, but we don't see all the, you know, the backside of it. You know, in the middle of a season, Dennis Rodman is going to the coaches like, hey, man, I need a vacation in the middle of the season. And they like, all right, man, go blow off some steam. He leave and fly right back. He's rejuvenated. Like, we didn't know all of that stuff as kids.
No, Ma, it's shocking, but it's also gives you back history. And with the times like this, you see sports centers debating on, should the Pistons should have shook their hands. If Isaiah would have shook their hands, he probably could have been on the dream team. You see the owners like Jerry Cross and in management. You know what I mean? You see a different perspective, and now we have a freedom of speech to go tweet right away.
Right.
Ma, who was those people in your life that shaped you to be the brother you are today? Wrapping things up.
Man, one of the biggest influencers in my life is my uncle Fletcher Upshaw. You know, I lost my dad at the age of 13. So he's one of those guys who kind of stepped in and filled the void in my life from a father aspect. As far in terms of basketball, when we're talking we've talked about Jared Quarles, but another guy is Brian Rogers. Brian Rogers is truly, in the sense of the word, my OG. Brian Rogers, you know, we joke, and I know you know him, we joke about him playing JUCO with everybody. But, man, Brian has worked with Sonny Vaccaro. He's worked with the late, great Mac Irvin himself. And for him to be able to just sit down and give me some game on how to operate, especially in this training world, I mean, that's done.
He's the godfather. Yeah, Brian came from Elkhart.
Yeah.
Train me up here in the region.
Yeah,
in Gary. He was like, Rick.
Hat on.
he was like, bro, I know, you know, times are hard right now, but I'm gonna come up there and train you. Drove 2 hours just to train me. I'm like, that solidified my relationship with him to this day.
Right, absolutely.
And he's like, Rick, you got a gift. I need you to use that to be a motivator for your community up here in Gary.
Absolutely.
So no, B. Rogers the godfather. That's how I look at him. And Ma, I'm happy you came on the Gym Rats podcast, bro, because I think what Todd enabled and Jared Boff and Jared Quarles and the whole team, just to have this platform and show a different side of Gym Rats.
Right.
You see us on the business end, but behind the scenes, we're just you and I. We're human. We have these conversations all the time, but we about our business on the floor.
Absolutely.
So I appreciate it again, Ma. And you guys, do not forget to subscribe and leave a review. Looking forward for you guys hearing this episode.